Alright, hello and welcome back to Ashgabat Cat's Let's Play That. Today we're taking a look at Legendary Wings. That's right, we are back to English titles. That being said, typical shoot 'em up, nothing to say. So let's... Okay, that was a little bit disorienting. I did not expect the game to give me a preview of every single stage, but now that it has... Oh, so that is the special weapon. Oh, it's the Xevious bomb. Just my favorite. Well, on the bright side, in this game, autofire seems to be perfectly tuned, so there's no need to do anything else. Oh my gosh, whoever decided to put those like dark red bullets on this tan background, it almost works. You can almost... Is this good or bad? Danger. I mean, I just entered some dude's mouth. I do not expect much else other than danger. Okay, so you can duck. Can you jump? You can jump. Alright, so what has become an ineffectual, like, bomb is now an ineffectual jump. Speaking of ineffectual, I fully expected to be completely cheaped by those enemies, but apparently they just make you jump. That's suboptimal, but I'll allow it. And he died by just running into me. Nice. And that's it. Alright. Objective for next time. Try not running into the giant mouth that sucks you. Oh, cool. Whoa, dude. Whoa. Check out these diagonals on the name entry screen. This is some 90s level stuff we got going on here, and yet this game is 86 at the latest. You gotta hand it to Capcom. When they knew how to innovate in video games, they knew how to innovate in video games. Oh, and they're back to previous video game names. So I can continue, but it... Okay. That was weird, because I'm playing score mode, and usually score mode just completely resets the game right from nil, but that one was seemingly letting me continue, so that's... I don't know how much I trust that. But here we are, back to the beginning of the game. Wow. I cannot believe that name entry screen. Alright, that gives me some hope for this game. The Xevious style targeting that barely works. Oh, I guess I was shooting the whole time. I just couldn't really see the shot. Come on, I know the trick. I'm not going into the mouth. I wonder if you get like power-ups or something. I don't wonder enough to, you know, actually do it again, but vague curiosity rules supreme. Wow. I've played enough of these Capcom shoot-'em-ups to know... Oh, wow. I played enough of these Capcom shoot-'em-ups to know that this swirling bundle of death is in fact a swirling bundle of death and not like some sort of power-up swarm or some sort of, I don't know, friendly hug that is very disguised. No, I'm wise to your tricks, Capcom. There's not anything you could show me right now that would surprise me about this game. Not anything at all. This is the part of the... Oh my. Oh. Lucky. I'll be the judge of that. Oh, cool. So, it used to be a horizontal side-scrolling adventure level. Now it is a horizontal shoot-'em-up. Just like the regular game. You know, I bet you've probably never wondered to yourself, I wonder what it would be like if we made a horizontal shoot-'em-up, but we kept the vertical aspect ratio. Well, you probably never wondered this to yourself because it is in fact a bad idea, but... Well, the devs of Legendary Wings thought this to themselves, and they were like, hey man, let's do it. Let's go all in. Let's see what happens. Well, I hope you're happy, guys, because I'm not. Jeez Louise. It's so funny. The enemy just kind of glitches into the wall and just kind of like hangs out there. But like he doesn't die when he touches the wall. I mean, I guess... To be fair, I don't either, but it's just kind of funny. He just kind of pieces out into the wall, and he's like, I'll see you later. And then 3 seconds later, when he makes it out of the wall, he's like, hey, guess what, pal? It's a later. Welcome to death. The palace is a little ways off. Nice. Okay, so apparently some death pits are lucky, some death pits are not. it's just like in real life. You gotta stick to the lucky death pits. That is interesting how, whoa. I guess to my gun, ooh, it chases. Okay. That is I don't know if you can tell, but I actually got stuck on these giant golden eagle guys. Like, I can't move past it. But, yeah, so it gave me a chaser, so it's like, I guess it's technically an upgrade, but it is kind of hard to tell the death pits from the good pits. Although, my bomb does have a pleasing amount of damage, actually, because here I am able to just completely demolish these statues in one hit. Speaking of demolishing statues, there is, like, no confirmation of any sort of, like, bullets hitting. This is almost as bad as Sector Z, but at least Sector Z had a strange sort of movement manipulation aspect to it. Okay, I guess the only way to make it up. I thought you had to just YOLO it to the exit, but I guess not. Maybe you have to bomb in just the right place? Well, I'm getting more of a visual indicator of doing damage, so let's go with that. And I have such a good... Oh, okay. Okay. In a non-counterintuitive move at all, you have to, like, bomb it in the right weird place? Or maybe you have to bomb it enough times? Well, this wouldn't be the first time this game did something completely unknowable, unthinkable. I guess maybe you had to hit it in its head? This game is very hazy about the details. Speaking of hazy about the details... Okay, I thought that was a boss for a second there, and I was like, I don't know that I'm entirely emotionally prepared for a boss here. But... it is kind of interesting contrasting this with, like, what Tatakai no Banka, where, like, there, your jump is this crazy ultra, like, amazing option, whereas you look at this game, and, like, the jump is basically a distraction. It's like, if you're jumping, pal, you are doing the wrong thing. Oh, okay. For a second there, I thought I was like, oh. I mean, I should have seen that coming. But I guess Alright, well, let's see if the game remembers what stage I'm at, but also lets me do score. I am on score, right? I'm not. I'm not on score because I haven't... That's right. Because I started it up in regular arcade mode because I wanted to show off the intro screen. Well, I was just practicing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 stages. Well, I don't know what that entails for the actual scoring thing. Or I don't know what that entails for the difficulty of the game, but I'm pretty sure scoring-wise, usually when there's only about 5 stages, then you're going to get some massive Caspo. And you know me, I'm only in it for the Caspo. That sounds very dismal, and yet it is somehow very true. Okay, this bomb thing is kind of starting to annoy me, where, like, seemingly you can only use bombs some of the time. I think it tries to limit you. It's like you can't be actively shooting and use bombs. Wow, these enemies are strangely unconcerned with whether I'm shooting at them or not. Like, I thought the enemies in Volgus were pretty, like, laissez-faire about the whole thing, but these guys are just completely content to, like, waggle all around the screen and just wander into my bullets occasionally and, like, do absolutely nothing in response. I see that Capcom is experimenting with the Gradius sort of power-up system. Trying anything, just the whole kitchen sink, seeing what sticks. Okay, good. It's still lucky. Because if this was unlucky the second time, that would be the worst betrayal in the history of betrayals. Oh, so if you shoot the treasure chest, then you get none of the treasure inside. But sometimes you can convert it to... This is not a very lucky stage. Oh, go, no. But I'm... It's funny when the bad guy gets stuck in the wall, but it is exceedingly less funny when it happens to me. Oh. Nope, that's a death. So what had happened before, it was just this amusing aside, but when it happens then, it's a death. Okay, I'm starting to pick up on your rules, video game. 60k points. Seems to be a popular score, because that was Commando Section Z. They all want you to have that vaunted 60k. It's kind of nice of Capcom to, like, orient their scores around the same sort of unachievable ideal. I used to be able to achieve them, but then Capcom started making their games harder because, I don't know, maybe the investors were like, nope, that's too many wasted quarters. Our arcade owners are mad. You need to get your rear in gear, and by that I mean steal more quarters from small children. And the Capcom people are like, well, I do enjoy stealing quarters from small children. That is one of my greatest joys in life. They just come at you, and yet they don't even fire at you. I can't tell whether these enemies are threatening or non-threatening, laughable or deadly. I am just not in it to win it for this game. I don't know. There's just something about this game that just screams like, you shouldn't try too hard. You shouldn't, like, focus too hard. This game is just, it's just gonna do whatever, and you're along for the ride. It kind of reminds me of this review I saw online of this video game where it's like somebody was comparing it to the Nintendo Entertainment System version, and they were like, hey, compares the NES version was better. And it's like, if you think about it, in the arcades, you basically have every advantage possible. The only advantage maybe is that it came first in time, so like if you have the NES, then you can maybe refine the mechanics. Although I feel like something like Tatakai no Banka, there's only so much you can refine it. But you look at this game, and the guy said that this game was actually, like, the Nintendo version was actually better. And it's like, that's not a great sign. Especially considering that one of the main draws of these arcade games was their improved graphics. And it's like, if improved graphics aren't enough to take you through the experience, make the experience superior, then I don't know what is, man. I mean, the Neo Geo was an entire system based on the idea that if you make the graphics good enough, people will be satisfied enough by the video game experience. And you know what? I was, we were, we all is. It's kind of funny how, like, in the early, I guess it was mid-2000s when we were all like, oh man, I don't play video games for the graphics. I play video games for the gameplay. I am a true gamer. It's funny because we don't do that anymore, even though nothing really has changed. Actually, if anything, graphics have kind of, like, slowed down, and so it's like, who even plays games for the graphics anymore? They're all kind of stagnating now. But back then, no man, it was all about the graphics. I guess sort of immediately after that early 2000s, it was all about the graphics. You know, it's only as you get older and you start getting more and more suspicious about how the world really works that you start wondering if the whole graphics snobbery was sort of a conspiracy theory started by indie game artists just trying to, like, make people, just trying to get, like, a fighting chance to fight against those AAAs. On one hand, that idea is crazy, but the more you think about it, the more you realize that there might be more to it than meets the eye. But not what's more to it meets the eye is this game. Almost exactly what it was before, and now it still continues as to be. I don't know. At least Tatakai no Bankai, like, kind of lulled you in with a false sense of whatever, and Ghosts and Goblins was like, it's just, I don't know, like, yeah, it's an absurdly difficult game, but at least it was willing to pretend, to humor you for a limited period of time, that you could beat him. Because, I mean, again, even Ghosts and oh, that's my special secret lucky gargoyle, and it's not there. I mean, to be fair, the lucky stage has not been working well for me, 2 out of 3, but still, that's a little disappointing. Okay, so you can you destroy the statues? Am I out of lives? You cannot destroy the statues. I am not yet out of lives. Oh, wow. This game is a lot more difficult when you don't have full power-ups. Well, whatever. They don't call me Ashgabat Cat for nothing. Actually, I don't know why they call me Ashgabat Cat. Probably because I called myself that. But I've got a good feeling. You know what? Let's go for broke. Let's set a score. I have not done this previously in a while, and I'm beginning to doubt my ability to do so. But you know what? The first step in winning is believing in yourself. And if you can't believe in yourself the right way, you just gotta start lying to yourself. Lie, lie, lie. Lie like a big dog. And eventually, you too... well, I'm not gonna guarantee that you'll succeed, but at the very least, you can live your life in shame. It's not a very high goal, admittedly, but... who knows? Just think about all your professional heroes who probably live their lives in shame. And just think, you too can aspire to that level of cynicism. Hey, okay. Because these are the kind of enemies that, like, unless they become vulnerable, they deign to grace you with their vulnerability, then there's not a lot you can do. I mean, there's not a lot I can do against most of this stuff, but... yeah, I don't know. I feel like in all the other Capcom games so far, like, even though they might have been a little predatory and they might have been like a little quarter hungry, come on, lucky, lucky, lucky. Lucky? Nope, no lucky. I guess you really do have to be lucky to get it. Or maybe it was here that, I don't know, this game is a little samey after a while. Okay, okay. You just gotta focus in, no big. Oh! Betrayed by the golden owls. No! And I got stuck behind the golden owls. But like, all the Capcom games previously, I don't know, it kind of felt like you had a chance, everything was kind of fair, and it's like, okay, we're on the up and up. But this game, it just feels a little janky. I don't know how to describe it, but like, your character moves, like, your character doesn't move slow, but I feel like your character moves like something weird, like 10% too slow. Because, like, you look at the previous Capcom games, and it's like, okay, kill all the enemies, get a point bonus. I mean, come on. Everybody's been doing that since Galaga. Capcom's been doing it since Galaga was thought of. But, like, in this game, it feels strangely impossible to actually kill all the enemies. Because you look at 1942, and it's like, well, stage 1 at least. You could do that with your eyes closed. You did that all the time accidentally. But then you play this game, and it's just... you move just ever so slightly too slow that it just does not work out. And then your shot, I mean, there's nothing wrong with your shot, and actually in most respects, your shot is actually kind of superior. But then they give you all these power-ups that like noticeably increase your shot, and so now all of a sudden you're completely dependent on the power-up economy, and it's like, well, welcome to Gradius, son. Except the thing about Gradius is, as soon as you die, that's it, game over, you gotta restart. And you're not gonna make any sort of progress if you don't have those power-ups. Of course, I'm doing score modes, so I'm restarting anyway. Also the bomb, like, they give you some amount of bombs, but not quite enough bombs to get away with things. And it's like, I don't get it. Am I powerful? Am I powerless? Like, pick one and stick with it, game. This waffling is just a little painful. And then you've got to hit those ground targets. I mean, it's not the hardest thing in the world. Oh, so you can actually shoot those shots. Yeah, this part of the level did feel kind of empty, but... Alright. Well, I know your secret. It's your head. You gotta protect your head. It's even making a little sound. Yeah. It's completely weird fighting this boss fight, because, I mean, on one hand, like, it seems a little hard, but on the other hand, if you're willing to slow down, take your time, and do your best, then you actually beat it with, like, essentially no difficulty. I guess you move a little faster with the jump, but, like, nowhere near fast enough for it to justify itself. I also like how now you've got sort of a non-linear thing going on. Well, I guess it's almost on the level of Super Mario Brothers, where you're in the Bowser castles, where you get to take an alternate route. Maybe sometimes, but sometimes it just does not. Like, when it loops, because there's only one right way. And it's like, that is suboptimal. Okay, come on. What is this nonsense? I just got wombo comboed by this game. Capcom, you are on a dark path here. Even Ghosts and Goblins was like painfully telegraphed about what's coming up. Just 5 stages. I mean, you can even see it. It's like there's no excuse. You can visualize the goal. There's no way you shouldn't be able to achieve the goal. Am I right? Well, video game, you are very wrong, but I don't know why I'm arguing with an inanimate object. That was just Capcom. You were on a dark path. Like, I can understand being a little janky, but being so janky that, like, playing the stage is basically like playing Russian roulette, where it's like, you know you're going to die. The only question is which particular shot is the one that kills you. That's a little too much for me, honestly. This game is not... It really does not endear itself. And here I was thinking Tatakai no Bankai was going to be the worst one. Well, I didn't actually think that. I mostly just hoped that would be the case, and here we are. I was looking online, and it said that Tatakai no Bankai was like, what? It was either 11th or... No, I think it was 11th. 11th best grossing video game that year, or an arcade game that year. And it's like, is that a lot or a little? Because, I mean, if you think about the actual competition Capcom was against, you had, like, what? You had Namco, you had Sega, and then, I don't know, you had Capcom themselves. Like, after a while, there are not a lot of arcade manufacturers back in the day, even though arcades were, like, the premier video game developed... Wow. Oh, I see. I was like, come on, the game is giving me phantom controls, but actually I was running into one of those birds, and then it was kind of forcing my hand. This score-based challenge gives me absolutely no joy. I suppose I was accidentally correct when I started in continue mode. Maybe I'll be able to continue, maybe I won't. I somehow doubt the experience will change all that much either way. Slow as molasses. You just kinda... Yeah, it's one of those death by 1,000 cuts sort of deals. I don't know. This video game, it just kind of... Well, but on the other hand, I guess it kind of like makes you wonder, it's like, how should you actually experience this video game? Because it's like, on one hand, some of the earlier games, I was having a lot of fun playing them for score, just starting from the beginnings, starting from scratch if I died. And also, too, that was like the only way to experience the game, because there was no continue feature, so okay, granted. But then you play this game, and it starts making you wonder, and also Tatakai no Bankai, where it's like, after a while, it's kind of just about, you've got to make a certain amount of progress, otherwise you're just going to come away from the experience unsatisfied. And I mean, you play something like Ghosts and Goblins, and it's like, yeah, okay, you got to kind of continue. Well, okay. Continuing, not continuing, there's not a ton of difference, really. I mean, you're starting from the beginning of the stage, no matter what. Quite frequently, I might add. You play Tatakai no Bankai, you really have to be continuing, otherwise you're not going to make much progress. But then you play a game like 1941, where lucky, yes! But you play a game like 1941, and now I understand how lucky I was to get this. But then you play a game like 1941, or maybe it's 42. That's right, it's 1942 that is the first one. Sure, that's how numbers work. But, there... Like, there is technically a continue feature, but considering that you start from, like, the same sort of, like, far-off stage, then, I mean, there's not a ton of difference between starting over and continuing. Because, I mean, again, well, as much as I like to complain that 1942 felt kind of samey, looking back over X to X's, it really is the same thing. Even the bosses are exactly the same. Whereas 1942, like, once you make it, I don't know, 2 or 3 stages in, like, it does actually start varying the enemies you fight. And so, yeah, that's not bad. Although Volgus actually had a fair bit of enemy variety, too, and it had background variety. Yeah, that's a weird thing about these Capcom games so far. They have not been too big on the whole background. Whoa, do I have 55k? Oh, but I'm not doing score. What's the point? Oh... So the one time I'm doing good enough. See? Almost 60k. All it took was to give up on any sort of scores, and all of a sudden then you start getting those rockin' scores. oh, this is the true terror of Xevious. Because it's like you can see the targets, you know what you gotta do, but like you need absolute pinpoint accuracy or you're going to be strangely ineffectual against these enemies. And let me tell you, I don't have pinpoint accuracy, and I'm finding myself strangely ineffectual against those enemies. Oh, no, I guess I misread the numbers. I was only at 40k. Oh, never mind. Why get excited? I swear I was a 6. I wonder if that's a deliberate choice on these gameplay mechanic creators to like make your score intentionally hard to read. So it's like, oh, well, on one hand, I was going to say it kind of obscures the score while you're playing the game, and so you're not like quite as obsessed about his score. But I also kind of wonder if it just makes it a little bit harder. Like, you get that second where it's distracting you with about the score, and it's like in that second, then they can cheat you with a death or something. So this guy can't fly or anything, even though previously he was flying. Like, in the horizontal shoot-'em-up level, I was completely able to fly, but like, why am I not able to fly in this level? Would flying be like too OP? Is that their official determination? Okay. You can't trick me if I'm expecting it. Is it true? It is true. Nice. Well, I've learned a very harsh lesson the hard way. You cannot jump over those enemies. You can jump over these enemies, but you cannot duck under that shot. It's all of the obligation of Contra with none of the fun. Can you shoot up? Of course not. You can't do anything that would possibly gain you some sort of advantage. Okay, so basically I have to like bum rush him. And then he's just gonna cheat me anyway because Capcom. Well, okay, this part is actually worthwhile. And now I can fly again. Why was I unable to fly previously for the stage? Okay, this is, for as BS as this game was otherwise, that was actually there are 4 area left before you meet dark. I like how dark is in quotes. It's like dark. Before you meet dark. Yes. Okay, whatever game. Whatever. I'd say I'm wise to your tricks, but basically I've just kind of given up on your tricks. Oh, and I just got 60k. So if I actually did kind of focus in, get lucky, and that is weird how some objects will impede your path, and yet some objects will not. But if I just focused in, got lucky, then I too could set a score. Hey, I know those mouths. That's not a mouth I want to experience. It's kind of telling that, like, having to do these side-scrolling levels is a punishment. Well, maybe I can think of it as an extra score opportunity. And we are not in the money in any way, shape, or form. On the bright side, it looks like we can just shoot right through those shell guys and shells, which, I mean, it takes more than a few shots, but still. Look, I'm making progress. I wonder if there's any sort of disincentive to just literally doing this the entire time. I guess it's just up to you and how much boredom you have, or how much of a tolerance for boredom you have. Also how like mean your arcade owner is. If you start like going over your shoulder, it's like, hey kid, I noticed you've put 50 quarters, or no, I've noticed you've been playing on this game for an entire hour with 1 quarter. Did you know, kid, that if you set a score using cheap tactics, then that score doesn't actually count? That is actually not true in real life. Because you go to Arcade Galaxies and it's like, hey, as long as you follow the rules, you can set whatever score you want. Of course, that infinite loop, oh, you can't. So I'm pressing left and I'm not wrapping around. I mean, maybe that's like asking for too much in life. But I mean, you already have a really good name entry screen. Could you possibly make it a little bit better just for me? And here we go again. This is, I don't know, I was going to say it's more palatable with the continue feature, but like, is it really? Then you're just gonna get sucked in the mouth again, and then it's like, well, you might as well restart. here I am going for score, trying to like waggle through both sides, but that is not the ideal path. Basically, you gotta play it safe in this game. Going for points is a young man's game. You're an old man playing an old game. Don't kid yourself. Just go for the safe route. Don't get anywhere near that giant dragon's face. Well, okay. I mean, as annoying as it is to be sucked into that dude's mouth world, this game technically is non-linear. Are there other non-linear games? Well, when I was thinking of non-linear games, I was reading this online review of Tatakai no Banki. That's Banka. Banko? Well, it's one of those. And there it was saying the NES game was actually like one of the first games with non-linear level design. And so, looking at this game, maybe this is the first one of their arcade games with non-linear level design. But, well, I mean, again, though, non-linear level design is not necessarily something I look for in an arcade game. You don't look at Galaga and be like, oh man, I wish I could fight a different set of enemies. Although Galaga 88 does give you some degree of non-linear level design, and I suppose that is a little fun. Although Galaga at least makes the right choice of making it feel all kind of the same. I mean, okay, in games in general, maybe being very samey is not the... That was an accident. I fully intend to continue this game. Because I respawned, right? I'm sure you saw what happened there. So, because I respawned, then I was stuck in that dude's mouth gravitational pull. Okay, sure, whatever game. And now I just got cheaped because you can't lie prone. You know what? One more quarter. If I was using my own money, we wouldn't have gotten to this point. I would have just looked over and it's like, oh man, they have Raiden? But okay, game, out of respect for, well, I was going to say your time, but I don't know. I feel like I've shown this game a lot more respect than this game has shown me. It's just so stiff, and like, you're not exactly underpowered, but like, you kind of are underpowered, and it's very clear the game is just throwing it is a completely stacked deck against you. Come on, don't get stuck. There are more important things in life than getting score, and that is not flying in that dude's face. Okay, if I play well here, we might be able to see the beginning of Stage 3. We will not see the end of Stage 3, I can guarantee you that. They just shoot enemies at you. I mean, you're shooting bullets, I can understand, but shooting enemies, that's a bridge too far. Capcom, you are 2 for 2 on games that are just so annoying. I do not want to continue. At least Tatakai no Banka, like, it let me get to Stage 3 before I gave up in despair, but Legendary Wings, I mean, this game came out swinging to be the worst Capcom game on the collection. Now this one, I hope, is the worst one in the bunch. I can kind of imagine it. Although I kind of wonder, so okay, you've got this game, oh, it smells credits. I kind of wonder if this game, like, it's so bad because, like, Capcom had a string of successes, because, like, 1942, that game's pretty good. Even Volgus and Higemaru were pretty solid efforts, given their places and time. You get 42, you get Ghosts and Goblins, there was one other game. Section Z is actually pretty good, although I don't think anybody liked or remembers it. And so I wonder if Capcom was just kind of like getting a little too high off their own success, and they're just like, oh man, we are arcade masters, we can do anything. And this one guy comes to the Capcom head director and he's like, hey man, let's make a vertical shoot 'em up that has gameplay diversification. And so occasionally it's a horizontal shoot 'em up, occasionally it's a side scroller. And Capcom's like, oh, I get it. It's like all of our best games all in one. Yeah, it's all of your best games, but if you don't tailor the gameplay systems directly towards each one, then like it's like none of them. Well, that's the thing though, because it's like, yeah, 1942 had this gameplay where you're playing vertically and you're like shooting enemy ships, and it's like, oh, it's just like this game, right? But there's like subtle nuanced touches, like the speed of your ship, the speed of the enemy ships, like the not getting caught on background, the not having to shoot these bombs that constantly distract your attention, the not like with these constant gotchas that if you do like one thing wrong, then it's like basically your run is over. It's like why even bother trying at that point? Because I mean, up to this point in a Capcom game, I guess an arcade game in general, like the worst that could happen when you put in a quarter is like you just get cheaped out of that quarter, not immediately but very quickly. But this game, it's like you get sucked into that guy's mouth and it's like, that's it, game over. You're not gonna have fun. You're just gonna have to let that continue run out and then go again. And like, yeah, I guess maybe it makes the game a bit more skill-based, but like, it just makes it frustrating to the average Joe who just wants to credit feed their way to the end. And it kind of annoys, like, well, I was gonna say speedrunners, I guess they'd be score runners at this point, but any sort of score runner who like gets to that point and gets stuck in the mouth and just like, my run's over, this quarter is wasted. Unless they just want to hang out and like cheap their way to victory. You know what? I respect this game so little. Let's do exactly that. let's cheat our way to 60K. And then once the camera stops rolling, I'll check the leaderboards and see how many people had that exact same idea. Probably not a lot, because if I was just some random guy on the internet, I would not give this game the time of day, much less play it enough to even contemplate going for score, much less actually trying to. But you know what? I'm a man on a mission, and that mission is to cheat in a video game. Well, is it really cheating if the game gives you all the techniques? Hey, open wide! Alright, let's see if we can cheat our way to 60K. I mean, sometimes, if a video game isn't fun, you gotta make your own fun. Alright, and now we just need to find a way to make it down there safely, which is a lot harder than it looks, because this game is pretty cheap. Okay. So we just gotta alternate. Not bad, not bad. Off to a good start. We're making like, what, 200 apiece? We are going to be here for a while. I also like how you cannot see your score worth a dang on this like crazy background. Wow. So even if you make 100 per or 200 per, I think it's like 200 per, but like, we're at 18K, 19K. I guess we could estimate how long this takes. Okay, so let's see. 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, 5 1000, 6 1000. Okay, so it takes 6 seconds to get 1,000 points. We have to make 40k more points. That's 40 times 6, 240. That's a straight 4 minutes of me doing this. I don't know. Can I talk and fill time while I cheat my way to a high score for 4 minutes? I mean, you already know the answer is yes. I've done far worse things on camera. Well, have I though? I feel like this is the first one of my acts that could actually be considered chaotic evil. Well, maybe not chaotic evil, maybe more like neutral evil, but I mean, usually I like to respect the boundaries of the video games. I'm like, okay, video game, you've met me on a fair and level playing field. Time over! Oh, there's a time. There's a time limit, upper left-hand corner. I couldn't see it because of the colors. But yeah, apparently Capcom thought of everything. And by everything, I mean the lamest, stupidest cheat strategy ever. Well, so you can't... Oh, am I at 50k against all odds? Did my cheating pay off? Should I just go for like double or nothing? Where it's like, okay, maybe I won't make it that much more than 60k, but I can at least make it to 60k. It's kind of like you take the small gain even at the cost of a big game, because it's like, well, a game's a game. Speaking of games, am I at 50 or am I at 30? It is actually impossible to tell. I think I'm actually at 30. Well, I am banking it all on this, although that being said, let's not kid ourselves. I don't think I'll be able to make it to the end of the stage. I mean, that is kind of something I've proved time and time again. Good timer. 60 seconds. So here I was calculating that it took 240 seconds to get to the end, or to cheat my way through, but like, actually, the game gives you like just enough time that I think you can do it. Oh, this game. Oh, I was at 30. I'm halfway there, not all the way there. Oh, why do you do these things to me, video games? And here I was getting all excited over nothing. Turns out it was less than nothing. It was evil. Oh, and the timer does not reset if you die. I still contend that if you were a little smarter about cheesing your way through that level, you could get your way to 60k. I still contend that is possible. But, man. The fact that they even let you do that, it's like, it is just the ultimate FU to this game. It's like, you are so fun, you're not even worth doing it the legitimate way, so I'm going to do it the illegitimate way, but even then, that was not even that much fun. I mean, yeah, you're getting some sort of taboo glee out of it, but it's just not enough, quite frankly. I guess that's ultimately how I would describe this game. I mean, I can understand you're trying. I see you made a game. It's just not enough, though. Not enough. Well, on that note, this cat's gotta escape.